यहाँ उपस्थित आज के इस कार्यक्रम के चीफ गेस्ट ऑनरेबल कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर पावर, न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, श्री R.K. सिंह जी। गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर ऑनरेबल मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट पावर एंड हेवी इंडस्ट्रीज, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, श्री कृष्णपाल जी। सेक्रेटरी पावर श्री आलोक कुमार जी। एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी एंड FA पावर श्री आशीष उपाध्याय जी। एडिशनल सेक्रेटरी पावर श्री SK जी रहाटे और रेस्पेक्टेड डिग्निटरीज जो यहाँ उपस्थित हैं। आज के इस कार्यक्रम में मैं अवनीश भारती REC की ओर से आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। साथ ही मैं स्वागत करता हूं REC परिवार के सभी सदस्यों का जो लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग के माध्यम से इस कार्यक्रम से सीधे जुड़े हुए हैं। REC परिवार के लिए आज का यह दिन बहुत ही खास है, अहम है। आज 25 जुलाई है और हम REC के स्थापना की 52वीं वर्षगांठ मना रहे हैं। आप सभी की मौजूदगी ने आज के इस दिन को और भी बेमिसाल, खूबसूरत और यादगार बना दिया है। आइए कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं और विधिवत स्वागत करते हैं यहाँ विराजमान विशिष्ट अतिथियों का। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं CMD REC श्री संजय मल्होत्रा जी से कि वो आज के इस कार्यक्रम में माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी का स्वागत इस पौधे के साथ करें जो खुशहाली और उन्नति का प्रतीक है। मैं अनुरोध करता हूं डायरेक्टर टेक्निकल REC श्री संजीव कुमार गुप्ता जी से कि वो माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी का अभिनंदन पौधे को भेंट करते हुए करें। मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं डायरेक्टर फाइनेंस REC श्री अजय चौधरी जी से कि वो पौधे के द्वारा सेक्रेटरी पावर का आज के इस कार्यक्रम में स्वागत करें। हम कामना करते हैं कि इस पौधे की भांति आप सभी का जीवन हरा भरा और समृद्ध रहे। इससे पहले कि हम कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाएं, आप सभी से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप अपना मोबाइल फोन कार्यक्रम की समाप्ति तक स्विच ऑफ कर लें या उसे साइलेंट मोड पे कर लें। धन्यवाद। May I now invite Chairman and Managing Director REC Limited Shri Sanjay Malhotra ji for his welcome address, please. CMD sir.
Honorable Union Minister for Power and New and Renewable Energy, Honorable Minister of State, Power and Heavy Industries, Secretary Power Sir, officials of the Ministry, all the central public sector enterprises, senior officers of the state governments and state utilities, chairpersons, members of Regulatory Commission, ladies and gentlemen. It is my proud privilege to welcome you all on the Foundation Day of REC. I am especially thankful to the Honorable Minister for taking out time from his busy schedule for inaugurating the new REC building here in Gurugram on our 52nd Foundation Day, and also for this program as the chief guest. I heartily welcome you, sir. I also welcome the Honorable Minister of State, the Power Secretary, and all the guests from all over the country. REC, as you are all aware, has been at the forefront of the development of the power sector in the country, right from its inception in 1969, when it started energizing pump sets for irrigation purposes in the country, and then to the implementation of various government schemes, latest being Deen Dayal Upadhyay, Gram Jyoti Yojana for village electrification and household electrification, Saubhagya. It has championed the cause of rural electrification. So much that despite being an NBFC and financing all segments of power sector, be it generation, transmission or distribution, it has become synonymous with rural electrification. As an NBFC, of course, it has grown from strength to strength over the years, recording 13% growth in sanctions over the last 5 years, 10% per annum growth in disbursements over the last 5 years, Last year was a phenomenal year, sir, for us. We had record sanctions, more than 1.5 lakh crore. We had record disbursements, more than 93,000 crore rupees, and also the maximum profit after tax of almost 8,400 crore rupees. The loan book, as a result, now stands at a very healthy 3.77 lakh crore rupees, and the net worth is about 43,000 crore. Apart from the interest of our shareholders, REC has been cognizant of its social responsibilities and the needs of the borrowers. So over the years, we have spent almost 900 crore rupees on corporate social responsibility. Last year itself, we spent about 147 crore. We have also revised our rates of interest, sir, as you are aware, by up to 2% per annum for the various utilities and borrowers, and that we are very hopeful will help improve the profitability and sustainability of the sector. Going forward, sir, we plan to take forward the ministry's agenda now that we have universal household access to electricity, we have a unified grid, and we are power surplus. The agenda of the ministry to have sustainable sector, to have a green sector, green power sector. We plan to support the ministry's efforts in that direction as one of the nodal agencies along with PFC for implementing the result-based, reform-linked, revamped distribution scheme. We plan to play a critical role. Similarly, sir, with guidance of the ministry, we are now, sir, in the process of setting up a national feeder monitoring system that will help all the DISCOMs and the people and all the stakeholders to track the reliability and quality of power, and it will certainly help in improving consumer services. Honorable Minister has been championing the cause of consumers and consumer services, and with guidance of the ministry, REC, sir, has already initiated the process. You have approved the guidelines, you have approved the rating methodology, we have circulated that to all the DISCOMs, and DISCOMs have started sending data related to it, and that, sir, we are very sure that will also help the DISCOMs in tracking their performance, in promoting healthy competition amongst DISCOMs, as also nudging them to improve their performance by identification of the gaps. The other thing, sir, is that we plan to continue, sir, the energy transition that the country and the whole globe is now attempting. So we plan to continue to focus on renewable energy space, including clean and green mobility infrastructure, energy storage systems, electrical charging infrastructure. We have also sanctioned manufacturing of solar cells and modules, and we plan to take forward this agenda. Also, along with REC PDCL, smart metering, which is so very essential, not only for DISCOM performance, but more importantly for consumers, to give them control over their consumption. We also plan to take up the smart metering agenda. Honorable Minister has been very keen on having a comprehensive repository of the regulatory parameters of power utilities, and I am very happy that Honorable Minister will be today releasing the first edition of the report on key regulatory parameters of power utilities. I am very confident that this will provide actionable insights not only to academicians and researchers, but more importantly to the policymakers and to the practitioners in the power sector. Before I end, I wish all my colleagues here who have joined physically and virtually on the very best on the foundation day of the organization. As we enter this new building, this is a green building, this is a net energy positive building, and I urge you to take a pledge to work with renewed energy, renewed passion, and dedicate yourselves to the cause of a sustainable, green, reliable, robust, and resilient power sector. I once again welcome all the dignitaries to this event. Jai Hind.
Thank you, CMD sir, for giving a detailed insight of REC's functioning and things to come in future. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable thoughts with us today. 52 साल पहले आज ही के दिन 25 जुलाई 1969 को आरईसी के रूप में बोया गया एक नन्हा सा, एक छोटा सा बीज आज एक शक्तिशाली वृक्ष बन चुका है, जो करोड़ों लोगों की इच्छाओं और आकांक्षाओं को ऊर्जा प्रदान कर रहा है, असीमित संभावनाओं का मार्ग प्रशस्त कर रहा है। आरईसी के 5 दशकों की इस यात्रा को आइए देखते हैं इस छोटी सी फिल्म के जरिए।
REC was incorporated in 1969 as a financial institution to reduce dependence of the Indian agriculture on monsoons by promoting and funding agriculture pump sets. REC has now metamorphosed into an NBFC and is today recognized as a leading infrastructure financial institution catalyzing the transformation of India's energy sector. REC is an implementing arm of the government for its key programs, as a result of which India has achieved universal household electrification, bringing hope, light, and opportunities to millions and transforming India into a power surplus nation with a unified national grid. During these unprecedented times of the pandemic, REC has helped keep the electrons flowing in the grid by infusing the much-needed liquidity under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. REC has registered consistent growth in its portfolio and continues to achieve new milestones with record-breaking performance, and today stands as one of the top PSEs in the country. Over the past 50 years of service to the nation, REC has established itself as the financial backbone of the power sector. REC can proudly claim that its funding illuminates every fourth bulb in India and has supported a large part of the distribution and transmission network of the country. Manifold with a very healthy asset quality reflecting our strong fundamentals. REC is now exploring new frontiers and supporting several new initiatives like electric vehicles, solar wind hybrid power projects, solar PV cells and module manufacturing units. It is also championing the cause of energy transition by financing renewable energy projects. REC has in the recent past ventured beyond borders by funding international projects. Going forward, REC intends to concentrate its efforts to increase the operational efficiencies and financial sustainability of the power sector. In line with the vision of the Ministry of Power, REC also intends to enhance the consumer experience. REC's new office building in Gurugram reflects the principles of the nation, which is going green and being self-sustainable. REC ushers in this new phase with a pledge to work with renewed vigor for the cause of a reliable, robust and resilient power sector. As India aspires to become a $5 trillion economy, REC promises to contribute passionately with all its might in this challenging and exciting journey. REC was incorporated in 1969 as a financial institution to reduce dependence of the Indian agriculture on monsoons by promoting and funding agriculture pump sets. REC has now metamorphosed into an NBFC and is today recognized as a leading infrastructure financial institution, catalyzing the transformation of India's energy sector. REC is an implementing arm of the government for its key programs, as a result of which India has achieved universal household electrification, bringing hope, light, and opportunities to millions and transforming India into a power surplus nation with a unified national grid. During these unprecedented times of the pandemic, REC has helped keep the electrons flowing in the grid by infusing the much-needed liquidity under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. REC has registered consistent growth in its portfolio and continues to achieve new milestones with record-breaking performance, and today stands as one of the top PSEs in the country. Over the past 50 years of service to the nation, REC has established itself as the financial backbone of the power sector. REC can proudly claim that its funding illuminates every forked bulb in India and has supported a large part of the distribution and transmission network of the country. Our loan book and net worth have grown manifold with a very healthy asset quality reflecting our strong fundamentals. REC is now exploring new frontiers and supporting several new initiatives like electric vehicles, solar wind hybrid power projects, solar PV cells and module manufacturing units. It is also championing the cause of energy transition by financing renewable energy projects. REC has in the recent past ventured beyond borders by funding international projects. Going forward, REC intends to concentrate its efforts to increase the operational efficiencies and financial sustainability of the power sector. In line with the vision of the Ministry of Power, REC also intends to enhance the consumer experience. REC's new office building in Gurugram reflects the principles of the nation, which is going green and being self-sustainable. REC ushers in this new phase with a pledge to work with renewed vigor for the cause of a reliable, robust and resilient power sector. As India aspires to become a $5 trillion economy, REC promises to contribute passionately with all its might in this challenging and exciting journey.
ये थी एक छोटी सी झलक आरईसी के पिछले 5 दशकों की यात्रा की। श्रावण का शुभ महीना है, आरईसी का 52nd बर्थडे है और सौभाग्य से माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी भी हमारे बीच उपस्थित हैं। इससे अच्छा और क्या हो सकता है कि आपके कर कमलों द्वारा आज हम आरईसी द्वारा प्रकाशित 3 पुस्तकों का लोकार्पण कर सकें। पहली पुस्तक है A report on key regulatory parameters of power utilities। माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी का एक विजन था कि पावर यूटिलिटीज के की रेगुलेटरी पैरामीटर से संबंधित एक रिपोर्ट पुस्तक के रूप में प्रकाशित की जाए ताकि पावर सेक्टर के सभी स्टेक होल्डर्स को सारी जानकारी एक जगह सुलभ हो सके और स्टेक होल्डर्स उससे लाभान्वित हो सके। इस शुभ बेला में अब मैं अनुरोध करता हूं माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी से, माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी से और सभी डिग्निटरी से कि वो आरईसी द्वारा प्रकाशित पुस्तक रिपोर्ट ऑन की रेगुलेटरी पैरामीटर्स ऑफ पावर यूटिलिटीज का लोकार्पण करें। आरईसी एक नवरत्ना एनबीएफसी के साथ साथ अपने सामाजिक दायित्वों का भी भरपूर निर्वहन कर रही है। अपने कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज को लेकर आरईसी सजग है और इसके लिए आरईसी फाउंडेशन की स्थापना की गई है। कोविड के दौरान आरईसी ने अपने अलग अलग ऑफिसेज के जरिए पूरे भारतवर्ष में जरूरतमंद लोगों की बहुत मदद की। आरईसी की सीएसआर जर्नी को समाहित करती है ये पुस्तक कंपेंडियम ऑन सीएसआर इनिशिएटिव ऑफ आरईसी। माननीय, आपसे एक बार पुनः अनुरोध है कि आप इस पुस्तक का लोकार्पण करें। A compendium on CSR initiative of REC. REC's CSR journey towards fulfilling its corporate social responsibilities. तीसरी बुक है बुक ऑन द जर्नी एंड अचीवमेंट्स ऑफ दीन दयाल उपाध्याय ग्राम ज्योति योजना। As we all know that Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana was conceptualized and launched by Government of India in the year 2014, covering all aspects of power distribution infrastructure in rural areas. This initiative of providing continuous supply of electricity to rural India has made tremendous strides towards achieving the goal of universal electrification under the leadership and guidance of our Honorable Cabinet Minister, Shri R.K. Singh Ji. This book captures the incredible journey of Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Gram Jyoti Yojana, a journey that captures the strength, determination, vigor, and indomitable spirit of the nation to empower smiles far and wide. माननीय, आप इस पुस्तक का लोकार्पण करें। Honorable Minister, sirs, and esteemed guests, thank you so much for doing the honors. May I now request all of you to please be seated. May I now request Executive Director REC, Shri R. Lakshmanan Ji, for a presentation on the just released book, Report on Key Regulatory Parameters of Power Utilities. ED, sir.
Sir, we have a small presentation on the regulatory report that has been released today, sir. With the guidance of Honorable Minister Shri R.K. Singh, sir, and Secretary Power, this regulatory monitoring exercise has been started by REC over the last couple of months. And as a part of this effort, sir, we have tried to capture from the regulatory orders of various ERCs of the power utilities certain key parameters which is essential for the health of the power sector, and we have also tried to present certain insights based on that. So the main focus of this effort has been, sir, this report should bring out a reliable database of regulatory parameters, sir, which would enable utilities across the states to benchmark themselves against one another to understand where they stand at the national level. And we believe it will bring in transparency to the entire process. The regulators will also be able to see where they stand vis-a-vis others. And this would act as a decision support for the ministry, for the states, and as well as the regulators. This report covers more than 5,000 data points, sir, spread across 170 regulatory orders from which it has been picked up of more than 105 power utilities. These orders have been passed by more than 29 ERCs, and we also have insights and analytics based on these compilation. So the first parameter which we would like to highlight is the retail tariff orders of the DISCOMs. As we can see, sir, 24 states and UTs, their retail tariff orders for the current year, FY 22-22, has been passed and it is in place. Out of that, 16 were timely, sir, which is basically March ke pehle they have been able to pass the tariff orders. 8 have a small delay, sir. They could put their orders in place by April to July of the current year. Whereas rest of the 12 states, sir, still don't have a tariff order for the current financial year. So which I think states have to gear up, sir, as the new scheme has come in place. So which would mandate the states for the next year that tariff order should be in place by 1st April for them to be eligible for the fund releases under the new scheme, sir.
So actually, a letter should go from the ministry to the states where the tariff order has not been issued, and also to the DISCOMs. That unless this happens, they will not qualify for funding under the new scheme.
New schemes,
So the ministry will write to the states and the DISCOMs
right, sir.
that if unless and until they get this tariff order updated, they will not qualify for the new scheme.
Sir.
We have a regulatory division. We have opened a regulatory division in our ministry. Yes. So the ministry will keep reviewing the compliance with the regulatory parameters. Now that is going to be a key part of the ministry to review regularly whether the regulatory mechanisms are working or not. Yeah.
Sir.
Then REC is doing it, but the ministry will also have a division. Yes, yes, yes. You will do it and you will support the ministry. Yeah. And the idea is that whenever somebody is falling behind, we must tell them that you are falling behind so that they can catch up. Not only the DISCOM, but also the regulator, the SERC.
For example, the state shown in red in the presentations of West Bengal, in the recent presentations, they have committed that they will come out with the tariff order, sir.
And when any regulator is lagging behind, I think we should have quarterly meetings of the forum of regulators and talk to them as to why they are lagging behind.
Sir. Moving on, sir.
Yeah.
The tariff order for the previous year, sir, इसमें मतलब 11 states could have the tariff orders for the last year also. In time.
Red is those states who have not issued the tariff order.
हाँ, even for 2021. June. There is a progress. And the red ones, sir, they do not have a tariff order for 2021 even today, sir.
लास्ट ईयर का दिखा रहे हैं, पहले सर था लेटेस्ट.
And this is the position of true-up orders, sir. As we can see, sir, 13 states have been able to issue the true-up orders for the financial year 2020, sir. And this also would be one of the preconditions as the new scheme kicks in, sir. For the current year, the true-up order should be in place next year for them to be eligible for the
दिसंबर तक करना है सर.
December तक करना है, sir.
उसमें 13 ने कर दिया.
Again, the states in the red have not done the true up.
And that too, sir, 17 के पहले कर 17 से पीछे.
No, the Tamil Nadu has not done it for the past 5-6 years. So they'll not qualify for any funding from us
Unless
or
they,
even from PFC and REC. Please note, Mr. Dhillon, Sanjay,
Sir.
Tamil Nadu is not going to qualify for any funding from us or PFC, REC or even under the new scheme.
Even sir, Telangana.
Telangana, yeah.
Odisha, West Bengal,
Hmm.
Madhya Pradesh.
Yeah.
2017 से they have not done. And जो blue में है सर, तो blue में केरला है.
We must write. We must write. Yeah. We must write and we must say that we have taken note of this. Write to the regulators.
We'll put up the problem.
The regulators are supposed to follow the law.
sir. Moving on, sir, next parameter is the approved distribution loss, sir, that is approved by the regulators. 8 states have approved distribution losses, which is below 11%, sir. And there are 7 states which have approved losses, that is more than 16%. So in the subsequent slides, sir, we have made a comparison between the actual losses and the approved losses, sir. This kind of gives the state-wise picture, sir. For example, Assam, the approved loss is 16, whereas the actual loss is 19. And Chhattisgarh, it is 15 and 23. So this excess loss leads to a financial loss for the DISCOM, sir, where they'll have to bring down the losses. Otherwise, they face a financial loss, sir.
There must be clarity all around.
Sir.
And that there must be clarity at the level of the regulator as well. I'm quite sure the regulators are there. Now the clarity is this, that the losses are happening. Now that's a fact. If some DISCOM is making a loss of, let's say, 20% to 25%, there are 2 ways. One is that the state government meets a part of the loss and the remaining is passed on in tariff. The second is, if the state government is not meeting any part of the loss, then it will have to be passed on in tariff.
Right.
So the state government has a choice. And that choice is that you either meet a part of the loss or it will be, all of it will be carried forward in tariff.
In tariffs.
Then the people will have to pay. Somebody has to
Pay
pay.
for it.
And our preference is that the state pays. So that the state becomes conscious of the requirement
The efficiency.
for making their distribution companies viable.
Viable.
So if the distribution companies are not viable, it is the responsibility of the states. So the states must meet that part of the cost. But many states do not meet a part of the cost. In such a case, the regulator has no option but to pass it through in tariff. So the proposition before the state is that if you don't pay, the
Consumers,
tariff, the people will have to pay.
people will have to
So
pay.
please note this. This clarity has to be circulated.
Moving on, sir. So this is the comparison between the average billing rate and the average cost of supply, sir. Sir, most of all the regulators have allowed full approved cost recovery in the tariffs, sir. You see for the last 4 years, sir. And in fact, they have approved a marginal surplus, sir, around 6 paisa to 18 paisa over the years, sir, in terms of whatever is the cost that they are approving, that they are passing it on in the tariff, sir. In terms of accumulated revenue gap or regulatory assets, sir, as we can see, sir, it is only the 95% of the total annual national level revenue gap is concentrated in just 6 states, sir. They are accounting for the around 1 lakh crore of regulatory gap is existing, which is concentrated in Rajasthan, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Delhi, and Kerala, sir.
What you are saying that neither the states are taking over nor it's members to tariff. So
So
it
it
is
cannot,
somewhere
it
gray.
cannot be in a limbo.
Not in a limit.
So if the state is not taking it over, it will have to be passed through in tariff. The state has this option.
Sir,
And the state also has the option of making their discoms viable,
right.
in which case they will not have to bear this burden.
And so just moreover, sir, this regulatory asset is what is within their approved norms and approved losses.
It has been
There are losses
recognized.
even beyond that. So both have to be taken care, sir, because this is what they have approved already.
This is recognized by the regulator.
This is recognized by them and not even being handled, sir.
The next is, sir, we have just given a effective retail tariff for 100 unit consumption of domestic category, sir, just to, for this.
Now, you see, again, the clarity which has to be brought in, and I want this noted down so that the letter will go to the FOR and to all the regulators and the states. The clarity is that by just recognizing the validity of a gap, the regulator is not doing his complete job,
Sir.
right? Now, if once he recognizes the validity of the gap, he has only 2 options. Either the state government agrees to pay, or he has to
Pass it on.
in tariff. Now, if he recognizes some, some costs as valid, he has to put it in the tariff.
Tariff.
The state can agree to give us subsidy.
Subsidy.
Right? So there's no question of any regulatory sort of asset.
Asset.
Everybody please note, there's nothing called a regulatory asset. If you are doing something, if any regulator is setting aside something and saying that this is a regulatory asset, he is acting beyond the law.
Sir.
Yeah.
This again is a precondition for the new scheme, sir. If from current year onwards, they cannot do this, sir.
Yeah.
So this gives the representative retail tariff for domestic category, sir. The green states have very low tariffs, sir, around 2 rupees, less than 2 rupees, sir. And the ones in orange have the highest tariffs, sir, around 12 states which have more than 6 rupees as the retail tariff, sir, for domestic category.
For domestic category.
Yes, sir.
100 units 3 kilowatt पे किया है sir. This is
हाँ.
after electricity duty and subsidy sir. So this is the effective rate
Effective
which the
retail
consumer has to pay sir. So we can see sir that there is large variations from less than 2 rupees to more than 6 rupees sir.
More than?
6 rupees.
Okay. And so what are these? The blue states are those?
3 to 5 sir.
3 to 5 rupees, sir.
Blue states are 3 to 5.
Sir.
Green?
Green is less than 2, sir.
Less than 2.
Less than 2, sir.
And light green is 2 to 3.
High subsidy.
High
And
cross
the
subsidy.
orange?
High subsidy or cross subsidy or both.
Yeah.
More than 6 rupees, sir.
No, we don't mind. I mean, if a
हाँ.
state wants to give free electricity to anybody, please go ahead. But deposit the money
Subsidy
in
has to be
advance under section 65. That is what the law says.
सर देखिए
And the
जो
regulator has to ensure this.
ग्रीन में सर जो आ रहे हैं तमिलनाडु,
Hmm.
तेलंगाना, आंध्रा, हरियाणा, हिमाचल, हरियाणा हिमाचल तो फिर भी 2 to 3 है, J&K सर लेस देन 2.
तो हाइड्रो की वजह से कम की एवरेज सप्लाई कम हो जाता है. Some of the states which are far away from the
Sir.
fields.
J&K cost of supply is less. J&K cost of supply is very
Moving
less.
on, sir, we have just tried to do
If they have an option, they will not get any money from the scheme or
Sure.
PFC REC.
Right, sir. So this is for the agriculture category, sir, for a 7.5 kilowatt consumption, 817 units per month. As a benchmark, sir, this comparison has been worked out. Again, sir, the green ones have less than 1 rupee tariff, sir, for agriculture, effective retail tariff. And the orange ones, sir, they have more than 5 rupees as the retail tariff for agriculture, sir. Similarly, sir, we have shown a representation for commercial category, sir, where the tariff is less than 7 in the bottom, and it is more than 9 in the.
अच्छा एक चीज और नोट कर, will note one more thing. The rates of interest
Sir.
will again sort of vary for different categories. So even if a state government or a DISCOM says that, look, if a DISCOM is making losses, we are not going to finance them. If a DISCOM says that we are going to take steps to reduce the losses, and the state government is backing us to take these steps, and we have the state government's concurrence for taking these steps, then we will finance them. But initially their rates of interest will be high
High.
if they are loss making. Yes.
Sir, this is part of the prudential norm, sir, which ministry has guided us, sir. This is for the commercial category, sir. Moving on, we have done the same for industrial category, sir, where the green states have a lesser industrial tariff, less than 6 rupees, and the ones in yellow, sir, they have more than 8 rupees, sir. So this is a cross subsidy which is existing in the industrial and commercial category, sir. As it can be seen, sir, like there are many states, around 21 states, which have cross subsidy.
Next, इसको बताइए.
Acha, sir. We'll stop sharing and reshare it, sir. So, sir, as it can be seen, sir, there are 21 states which have more than 120% of cross subsidy, sir, which again is a concern, sir, which is beyond the what the over the cost of supply, sir. It's beyond 120% of.
ये उल्टा लिख दिया है आपने. I think.
In the graph, sir, I think this 20 has to be more than
उल्टा लिख दिया.
more than
14 है, 14 and 7 and 17. 14 and 17.
That is right.
14 and 17. 14 and 17. 14 में सर 120, सर 9 में जो
9 में
इंडस्ट्रियल
120
कैटेगरी है वो
40% है,
120 to 140 है सर 9 स्टेट्स में.
9 states में.
और 5 स्टेट्स में सर है मोर देन 140 सर इन इंडस्ट्रियल कैटेगरी सर. सो 9 and 5 14 है सर एंड 20 में ठीक है सर. और 2 का हमारे पास डेटा नहीं है सर. दे आर आई थिंक वेस्ट बंगाल
West Bengal and Orissa, sir.
एंड ओडिशा सर. सो आउट ऑफ 36 2 वी डोंट हैव डेटा सर. 34 में से सर 14 में मोर देन 20% एंड 20 आर ओके सर जो ब्लू में दिखाया है सर. दैट इज फॉर इंडस्ट्रियल कैटेगरी. वी आर ट्रैकिंग मोस्टली इंडस्ट्रियल
Industrial,
कैटेगरी.
sir, and the right side is for
राइट
commercial,
साइड
sir.
इज कमर्शियल. कमर्शियल में थोड़ा ज्यादा है सर. वहां पे 9 + 5 14 के बदले में इट इज 17 सर.
17.
which are having more than 20%
What is recommended?
more than 20% cross subsidies. Next.
Similarly, sir, this is the comparison for open access charges, sir. This also varies widely across the states, sir. For example, Karnataka has the maximum open access charge, sir, which includes the cross subsidy surcharge as well as the additional surcharge, which accounts for around 5.35 rupees, sir. If someone takes a open access, they'll have to pay this. And at the lowest end, sir, Assam has only 33 paisa. So states have to rationally look at these parameters so that they are able to administer this open access policy rightly, sir. At the national level, if you see, sir, the national average is 2 rupees 10 paisa per kilowatt, which is the open access charge, sir.
Both included?
Both.
That includes both, sir.
140 is cross subsidy and 70 on an average is additional surcharge
Additional
for these states, sir. Total is 210. But as you can see, sir, sir, we have, sir, in the tariff policy, there is a guideline as to how to calculate the cross subsidy surcharge. As you are aware, sir, in the Electricity Act, even that is there, sir. Both are there. Dono, both are there, sir. For the standard capacity. Dono hai, sir.
Moving on, sir, this is we have tried to track the time of the day tariff, sir.
सर सर पहले से है सर, उसको अब इम्प्रूव किया है. एडिशनल सरचार्ज का पहले नहीं था सर, क्रॉस सब्सिडी का था लेकिन उसको इम्प्रूव किया है, उससे रैशनलाइज हो जाएगा सर.
And this is for time of the day tariff, sir. As on date, 7 states have already approved time of the day tariff for domestic categories, sir. The red ones still don't have, sir. I think these states will take a cue and they will also try to put in place a time of the day.
इंडस्ट्रियल कमर्शियल में तो है सर, ऑलमोस्ट ऑल स्टेट्स हैव. But now that smart metering, sir, we are introducing even in the domestic category. Now it is the time, sir, that they also उनको लाना चाहिए सर.
So they can at least
सर बिल्कुल सर.
Cheaper power during midday.
sir, that will influence the consumer behaviors. We'll be able to have a demand side management. Next is the return on equity, sir. This also is the important parameter for the viability of DISCOMs. Sir, as we can see, like some states have claimed or the regulators approved zero return on equity. There are 8 states in that category, sir. Others have a standard ROE which has been approved.
States like Rajasthan, Haryana, I think these are the states.
Tamil
sir.
Nadu,
Which do not
J&K,
claim.
Arunachal,
Tariffs are also low, sir, and they are also not taking the ROE.
ROE.
So tariffs are further
Not
reduced.
taking RAU makes them very heavily dependent on state budget for even routine investment of transformers and all. So that is the problem. Budget milta nahi hai.
Similarly, sir, we have done the same exercise for generation utilities. Here also, sir, like Haryana, Tamil Nadu, there are some states which have taken zero return on equity. Similar is the case for transmission utilities, sir, like Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana. They have claimed or the regulators approved zero.
0 or up to 2%.
Up
Like
to
UP,
2%.
Rajasthan is 2%.
And this is the status of pending cases, sir. We could, with the help of ministry, we could collect the pending petitions for decisions, sir, from the regulators. As it can be seen, sir, like in APTEL, sir, there are 1,639 cases which are more than 6 months old, sir.
How many?
1,639, sir.
More than 6 months old?
More than 6
In APTEL?
In APTEL, sir.
तो फाइल हमने दिखाया था आपको.
Wow.
कोविड के अलावा वैकेंसीज बहुत रखी हैं मेंबर्स की.
Huge. And what about the SCRCs?
SCRC, sir,
Blue
and
wala, sir.
there are 1,023 cases, sir. 1,023.
More than 6 months.
More than 6 months, sir.
And CRC?
CRC, sir, around 100 odd cases, sir, which is
हाँ, sir.
included in this 1,000, sir.
डिटेल में
114
दिया है सर, इसमें है.
114 is CRC का, which is more than 6 months old.
Now,
sir.
why a case should be pending for more than 6 months? I don't understand.
They should not. Sir.
Yeah. Except APTEL. APTEL, there were vacancies.
There are
We
vacancies,
must
sir.
fill up those vacancies quickly.
Moving on, sir, this is basically like the pendency of petitions state-wise, sir. Karnataka has the maximum pendency in terms of tariff, disputes and other petitions as of July 21, sir. And Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, they also have higher pendencies, sir, at the ERC level, sir. And the ones with the least pendency, sir, is Assam, Arunachal, Uttar Pradesh is also very low, sir, 14, MP is 20. And this is the status of tariff petitions and true-up petitions that are pending, sir. In Rajasthan, there are 35 petitions which are pending for decision, sir. Chhattisgarh is 20, Jharkhand is 20. These are the ones with the highest pendency of tariff petitions or true-up petitions, sir.
Tariff of sir, distribution company, generation company and transmission company under section 62, sir. Mostly section 62. 63 के तो इसमें bifurcation नहीं है, but we can do that, sir. Going forward, that bifurcation also we will try to have. Section 62 का कितने हैं, section 63 के कितने हैं.
And the ones with the least pendencies, sir, Punjab, Bihar, Tamil Nadu, they have least pendencies in terms of these kind of petitions.
No, there must be a system of reviewing. Our
So this
regulatory
we will
division
start
will review
Sir.
and then taking it up with these
Forum regulators.
forum, with the FOR as well as the concerned CRC.
Yes.
That this is your pendency. And there must be some remedy in case the pendencies continue and are not addressed. There has to be some remedy. Think about it.
Yes, sir.
Sir, this kind of completes the brief presentation on the regulatory report that has been released by you, sir, just now. And we are circulating it to all the ERCs and the utilities, sir. And this would be a monthly update, sir, and quarterly update depending on the various parameters. So this will be a regular feature which will keep coming out, sir.
And by the must send it to the ministry. The ministry must bring it to the notice of the
It was
FOR
ministry
as well
initiative
as the
only, sir.
concerned
This is,
CRC.
we are doing on behalf
as well as the
of
concerned
आपने कहा
DISCOM.
सर
We are doing on behalf of
सर,
ministry only, sir.
नहीं सर का कहना है मिनिस्टर आप करेंगे
Sir.
इसका एग्जैक्ट फॉलो अप मिनिस्ट्री
Sir.
से होगा
नहीं,
तो
आप
ज्यादा
ये
effective
डेटा
होगा।
Sir.
डेटा आप मिनिस्ट्री को दे दें.
Sir.
Effective होगा, sir.
हाँ, it will be a sovereign, the government will sort of write,
Sir.
saying that, look, this much is pending for more than 6 months, please take care. To the FOR as well. And the ministry will also apply its mind that if it is not addressed, this pendency is not addressed by some particular CRC, what is the remedy?
Absolutely.
Apply your mind, let me know.
We will think over it,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you, sir.
For the insightful presentation of the regulatory framework. I'm sure this will be of tremendous help to all the stakeholders. आज हम सभी REC के नए कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस में पहली बार REC का फाउंडेशन डे सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं, जिसका उद्घाटन माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी के कर कमलों द्वारा अभी कुछ ही देर पहले संपन्न हुआ है। इस ऑफिस की कई सारी खूबियां हैं। आइए इन खूबियों के ऊपर कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस पे एक प्रेजेंटेशन देखते हैं। मैं नाउ रिक्वेस्ट डायरेक्टर टेक्निकल REC श्री संजीव कुमार गुप्ता जी फॉर द प्रेजेंटेशन।
Sir, it is a historic and a very proud moment for REC and each RECite of having this building inaugurated by you today in the august presence of all the dignitaries and luminaries here. We are very proud of it, sir. This is a sir, illuminated view of this building, this thing. And this is a modern building, sir. And I will just take next. Yeah, photograph like that. Next. So these are the project brief. We had a architect, Chelsea West, New York based. It's a ground plus 5-story buildings with 3 basements. 2 basements are for parks and 1 is for various services. The superstructure area 1.82 square feet and seating capacity is 750. This thing. Next. Next. Sir, it's a GRAHE 5-star net zero building, sir. GRAHE is it's a green rating for integrated habitat assessment, and we are a 5-star rating, sir. It is a national rating basically evolved by TERI, the Energy Research Institute and MNRE. So jointly they have evolved a system. We are a 5-star. 5-star means it's not only a net zero building, it's 100% wastewater, rainwater harvesting. Even the building facade which we see is restricts heat load inside the building. So the optimal use of water, optimal use of power, even the plants for irrigation in the plants, it's a sensor-based drip irrigation so as to minimize that consumption of the water. We have a sir, very specially designed this pergola structure. In fact, for accommodating 965 kW kilowatt peak of this solar generation, almost 1 megawatt, which will generate 16 lakh units a year. We have just very recently commissioned it, sir, and have entered into a net metering arrangement with Haryana Discom. And even today, it is generating almost, if we consider last 15 days, around 50 to 55% of total rating capacity even in monsoon season. So hopefully we will be exporting a good amount of power to Haryana with this particular arrangement, sir. It is a specially pergola structure. It is not just only on the roof. A special steel structure has been designed to accommodate them, which is supported by the pillars from the columns, steel structures from the ground, especially. Next. And so this base copper, this thing. Moreover, sir, this AC is not a conventional, like the conventional air conditioning system we have. It's a radiant cooling, as you have seen, even while casting these walls or columns or slabs. These all pipes are laid out during casting itself. In these pipes, this water circulates. And this arrangement is basically, it ensures minimum 30 to 35% of less energy consumption by radiant cooling method. Even this facade, the glass structures, a double glass, in between there is a argon gas, which will basically restrict and limits the heat load. Ultimately, AC system take a heat load, thereby the more energy is consumed. Next. Next. As sir, normally in normal conventional all buildings, there is a false ceiling where all those services, electrical pipes and everything is there. Here, sir, in this view, when we move, it is a raised floor. And below the floor, all electrical, mechanical, plumbing, all those services are there. So that is again a new, as you can see, sir, in the first drawing, first picture, that this all services run below the floor. And this all floor are actuals like that, sir. This solar pergola structure, sir, as I say. Next, I think we can go. Next. This is a auditorium building for, it will be accommodating 500 to 500 people. It's again a single, this fair finish concrete structure is again a very unique, almost 8.5 meters is the curved, this concrete wall, this in the auditorium. And sir, as you can see this, as I said that no wall has to be painted, no wall is plastered here. Everything is permanent. So whether it is wall or it is column or it is slabs, everything is it's a fair finish concrete, which have some TiO, titanium oxide involved, which has a self-cleaning property. And that is how it's supposed to sustain for a long time. Next.
Material which you have used?
Titanium oxide, sir.
Titanium oxide.
TiO2, they say like that.
So that's on the finish.
It's self-cloning. Yeah. These walls. Only thing is that now they say it was claimed that it is the first building with this fair finish. There is no building like if I want to see any building in Gurgaon city, there is no building as such with this like this. So this building, all these spaces, work spaces have been created for a higher productivity and a good employee experience. As we see that we don't only come to office for work, it's for collaborating, for ideating, for innovations like that. So these are all modern spaces, sir. Every floor, we have 3-4 conferences rooms. So there are almost 20 conference rooms in this building, completely big one. There is a, sir, we have a well full-fledged gymnasium and this all facilities and libraries and auditorium is in final stages, sir. That will be this thing for this and this cafeteria system for the all regular staff, regular fixed time contract. Even the people who are involved in the facility management services here, they will be all having their food here in the cafeteria. Next. Sir, apart from that, just 7 kilometers from this place, we are going to have our township also. We have already taken all initiative actions and award will be placed. In the first stage, based on the survey, as the pupil, many of the people are having their houses. So we have estimated that requirement so that it is used. So earlier we were planning to have two towers or something, but presently we are going to have only 1 tower with close to some 100 dwelling units like that, with all the facilities for this marketing, shopping, medical, and playing and everything. So these are the basic feature, and cost estimated cost is around 126 crores. Sir. It will be having all the modern facilities for living. Sir. Yeah.
Then, sir, we'll request you for times.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, DT sir, for the delightful presentation of REC's new corporate office building. Now, let us have the pleasure of listening to the opening remarks of Secretary Power, Shri Alok Kumar ji. Secretary sir.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Union Minister Power Shri R.K. Singh Saab, respected Minister of State for Power and Heavy Industry Shri Krishan Pal ji, CMD REC Shri Sanjay Malhotra ji, all our colleagues from states who are joining us through video conference, all my colleagues in the Ministry of Power, CMD PFC, and all the participants. It's a great pleasure to be here while we are celebrating 52nd Foundation Day of REC and also the inauguration of this iconic building by our Honorable Union Minister Power. It's a really delight and a pleasure. Sir, this year will mark a very big change of era. Like Government of India has now, after the transformation of power sector in terms of the access to electricity, surplus generation and surplus transmission, adequate transmission, has now moved on to a new journey of now transforming distribution sector and has launched a historic scheme of more than rupees 3 lakh crore outlay. REC has also now moved to a new building. This change should mark a new era for REC. REC has completed a very big task which was very difficult to imagine 52 years ago, that it will be major instrumentality in reaching every household of the country, and you have completed this task. So my special congratulations to REC that you have helped the Ministry of Power and Government of India and all the states to achieve that milestone, which is a major milestone in the journey of development after independence of India. Sir, while in the power sector we are moving to a new era, REC is also moving to a new building, so this should be a turning page in the history of REC. In my view, you will keep on supporting the generation, transmission and green energy. The focus of REC should remain on making distribution segment modern and viable. I believe under the able and guidance of our ministers and leadership of the CMD REC will happily accept this challenge of taking up this task, the second journey in power sector of making our distribution segment modern and viable. And this is so special that we are launching new scheme, and REC is, along with PFC, are the nodal agencies for the same. Let me place an parallel in like what is a lender and what should be a development lender. So REC, PFC, they have been lending and they will be lending, but my suggestion is that REC should see what an institution like World Bank is doing. They are not just lending, they are a developer, they are a facilitator, and they have lot many instruments. They handhold the institutions. If the World Bank lends to a utility, it transforms it completely in its terms of corporate governance, procurement, IT systems, social and environmental governance, and it supports them through technical assistance. So my suggestion is that REC should transform it like you have transformed your corporate office into a modern new building. You should also transform yourself into a modern development lending institution like World Bank. Sir, what is being done by World Bank? They compile best practices, they bring out iconic publications which are the reference material in the sector for all the players, and REC has made a very good beginning by publishing this compendium on key regulatory parameters, and I wish they will bring many more such iconic presentations in future. So World Bank also provides technical assistance to its lenders as a accompaniment. They don't charge for technical assistance. Well, ADB charges for TA, but World Bank provides it free of cost to the countries, to the sectors, and to the utilities. So REC should start thinking about a product that they don't only lend, they also support the development of the institution by bringing technical assistance. So they have started a very good new initiative under your guidance and supervision on a consumer rating of DISCOMs, which will bring a completely new focus. Henceforth, you are only doing the access and taking wire to the household. Now you will start seeing about the orientation about the consumers, which is a very delightful your project. Sir, we have also asked them under your guidance to involve themselves more deeply with consumer engagement about smart metering. That's again major transformation which is going to happen. So there are new areas which are governing like corporate governance, restructuring of DISCOMs, which REC and PFC will be the flag bearers and they will assist utilities. I will request CMD REC and CMD PFC at this occasion to assess the new emerging capacity building needs in the power sector in terms of IT and OT, cyber security, energy accounting, and artificial intelligence, and work with the ministry and please help us in bringing this new capacity building needs, how they can be fulfilled. We have institutions like NPTI, we have Center of Excellence in IIT Kanpur, there are several institutions. So REC, PFC, you know your clients so well that you should find out their training needs, capacity building needs, and we will provide you all institutional support to transform these DISCOMs in a very modern manner. You are also a very key instrumentality of the Ministry of Power for implementing reform agenda for all distribution segment. Scheme is one part. The additional borrowing scheme of the Ministry of Finance is another part. Your lending additional prudential norms are another part. So all these three are the basic common reform agenda is same, which is being implemented by ministry. So I wish that you will have more success and you will nudge, you will support, you will facilitate DISCOMs to implement the reform agenda, which has been so carefully curated by our Honorable Minister. So many discussions, and he's in every forum, every platform, he's so concerned about how to make distribution companies modern and viable. Sir, one emerging demand by the states is you should work further how to rationalize your interest costs. So whenever I talk to any state, I talk to Punjab that they want to take loan for transmission needs. They say it's very expensive. We'll go to the bank. So if you want to keep on engaging with the states, you have to see that you stay competitive. So you have to devise new means, new methods in your fundraising, in your management, so that you stay competitive and you engage more deeply with the distribution companies. Sir, as you have been saying in all the occasions, let me also request the REC and also PFC on this occasion. So they have to build a completely new skill sets in your staff. So far you have a very different focus of hardcore projects of extending transmission lines, distribution lines. But now you have a different challenge. You have to talk to DISCOMs in terms of their restructuring, their corporate governance issues, their IT capabilities, their cyber security capabilities. You are going to engage in a very different fields with the distribution companies. You will not succeed unless until you have yourself that have skill sets and talent with you. Otherwise, the type of skill sets you have, it's not fault of your employees. They've been doing it for last 50 years. But what they will do in the next 10, 15 years is completely different ball game. So as a corporate strategy, you should think in your board, you should discuss and come out with a complete restructuring of first your own skill sets and talent. Only then you will succeed in say making this journey successful. So before I close, one last thing I would like to request is like we have requested PFC and we have entrusted them to do a champion for energy efficiency financing. They are doing it, sir, They made a good presentation, will also come to you. Similarly, sir, we are requesting REC, we requested REC also to be champion for promoting startups and artificial intelligence, other innovations. That is a task which REC should become a champion. You had already given us a guidance that not only startups, we should bring out best of the, say, IT companies in the world, global company, to have a roadmap and a template for large scale, deeper infusion of IT in our distribution business. So like banks have become just IT companies. After 5 years with the smart metering, distribution companies will also become just IT companies. So this transformation you can't undertake unless until you engage with startups and companies. So I again wish you a great success in this journey which you are going to take in the power sector for implementing a new scheme, transforming distribution segment. And also I wish you a very great journey which will starting with this building, new building, an iconic building. My best wishes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Sir. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and showing us new avenues where we have to go, what we have to do, and also gracing this occasion. Looking forward to listen to you again in near future. Thank you, sir. अब बात करते हैं आज के इस कार्यक्रम के गेस्ट ऑफ ऑनर। आप हाल ही में बृहत ऊर्जा परिवार से जुड़े हैं। इस नए परिवार में हम तहे दिल से आपका स्वागत करते हैं। आज हम सभी आपको सुनने के लिए, आपके दिशा निर्देश के लिए, आपके आशीर्वचनों के लिए प्रतीक्षारत हैं। देवियों और सज्जनों, आपके तालियों के बीच मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं माननीय राज्य मंत्री विद्युत तथा भारी उद्योग श्री कृष्णपाल गुर्जर जी को कि वो आज के दिन अपने विचार से हमें लाभान्वित करें।
आदरणीय केंद्रीय विद्युत मंत्री श्री आर.के. सिंह जी, विद्युत मंत्रालय में सचिव श्री आलोक जी, विद्युत मंत्रालय के वरिष्ठ अधिकारीगण, CMD REC के वरिष्ठ अधिकारी और कर्मचारीगण तथा देवी और सज्जनों, राष्ट्र सेवा और विद्युत क्षेत्र में सर्वांगीण विकास के लिए कार्य करते हुए आज REC की स्थापना के 12 वर्ष पूरे होने के अवसर पर मैं आप सभी को हार्दिक बधाई देता हूं। देश भर में फैले हुए अपने 22 कार्यालयों के विशाल नेटवर्क के माध्यम से REC ने बिजली वितरण, पारेषण, उत्पादन और नवीकरण ऊर्जा क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए वित्तीय सहायता देने का महत्वपूर्ण कार्य किया है। मुझे यह जानकर बड़ी प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि REC का एक बड़ा लाभ कमाने वाली नवरत्न कंपनी है और सरकार को लगातार लाभांश का भुगतान कर रही है। पिछले वित्त वर्ष में REC ने 1,54,821 करोड़ रुपए स्वीकृत किया और 92,987 करोड़ रुपए का ऋण प्रदान किया था। इसने कर के बाद 8,362 रुपए का लाभ अर्जित किया है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में REC ने 43,426 करोड़ रुपए से अधिक की विशाल नेटवर्थ और 3,77,418 करोड़ रुपए के लोन बुक वाली कंपनी बनने की उल्लेखनीय उपलब्धि हासिल की है, जिसमें से 84% राज्यों के क्षेत्र से संबंधित है। केंद्र सरकार द्वारा हाल ही में घोषित आत्मनिर्भर भारत के अंतर्गत REC ने 60,191 करोड़ रुपए स्वीकृत किया है और विद्युत वितरण कंपनियों की दीर्घ अवधि के लिए 35,716 करोड़ रुपए का विशेष लोन दिया है, जो वर्तमान कोविड महामारी के कारण गंभीर नकदी संकट का सामना कर रही थे। बिजली की अवसंरचना के विकास के लिए वित्तीय सहायता प्रदान करने के साथ ही केंद्र सरकार की प्रमुख फ्लैगशिप सरकारी योजनाओं को लागू करने में भी REC का विशिष्ट योगदान रहा है। दीनदयाल उपाध्याय ग्राम ज्योति योजना के अंतर्गत अप्रैल 2018 में 100% गांवों के विद्युतीकरण के लक्ष्य को प्राप्त किया और इसके बाद प्रधानमंत्री शहर बिजली हर घर योजना सौभाग्य के अंतर्गत 100% घरेलू विद्युतीकरण के लक्ष्य को हासिल किया। यह एक चुनौतीपूर्ण काम था क्योंकि रिकॉर्ड समय में 2,81,00,000 घरों का विद्युतीकरण किया गया है। इसके लिए REC बधाई की पात्र है। मैं यह भी बताना चाहूँगा कि वर्तमान कोविड-19 महामारी के निपटान में भी REC का सराहनीय योगदान रहा है। REC ने प्रवासी मजदूरों के लिए भोजन और रहने की व्यवस्था की है, जरूरतमंद लोगों को आवश्यक वस्तुएं उपलब्ध कराई हैं, फ्रंट लाइन पर काम करने वाले व्यक्तियों को चिकित्सा उपकरण प्रदान किया है ऑक्सीजन उपलब्ध कराया है, प्रधानमंत्री केयर्स फंड में योगदान दिया है और इस तरह CSR के अंतर्गत अन्य कार्यों को मिलाकर REC ने पिछले वर्ष 147 करोड़ रुपए की सहायता प्रदान की है। मैं इसके लिए भी REC को बधाई देना चाहूँगा। आज REC अपना 52वां स्थापना दिवस समारोह मनाने के साथ साथ गुरुग्राम में अपने नए कॉर्पोरेट कार्यालय का उद्घाटन भी हुआ है। मुझे बताया गया कि REC की इस नई बिल्डिंग में अत्याधुनिक तकनीकों का प्रयोग हुआ है। यह एक नेट पॉजिटिव एनर्जी बिल्डिंग है और इसके निर्माण में इसकी छत पर सोलर PV प्लांट सहित कई ऊर्जा दक्षता तकनीकों को अपनाया गया है। मुझे जानकर भी प्रसन्नता रही है कि आज REC द्वारा विद्युत यूटिलिटी के प्रमुख नियामक मापदंडों के पर रिपोर्ट का पहला संस्करण प्रकाशित किया जा रहा है। यह सभी विद्युत यूटिलिटी के परिचालन और वित्तीय मापदंडों का एक व्यापक संग्रह बनाने और निर्णय लेने के लिए बेहतर दृष्टिकोण प्रदान करने की एक अनूठी पहल है। मैं राज्यों की यूटिलिटियों से आग्रह करता हूं कि आप इस रिपोर्ट का अधिक से अधिक उपयोग करें। केंद्र सरकार ने हाल ही में वितरण कंपनियों की परिचालन क्षमता में सुधार लाने के उद्देश्य से 3.03 लाख करोड़ के अधिक की वितरण क्षेत्र की नवीकरण योजना की घोषणा की है। यहाँ उपस्थित राज्य यूटिलिटियों के प्रमुखों से आग्रह भी करता हूं कि आप सभी इसका पूरा लाभ उठाएं। हमने पहले ही एक राष्ट्र एक ग्रिड के सपन को साकार कर दिया था और अब हम इसको साथ मिलकर इसे टिकाऊ और दक्ष बनाना है। अंत में मैं फिर से REC लिमिटेड को अपनी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और एक बार पुनः REC द्वारा किए गए कार्यों की सराहना करता हूं। मुझे भरोसा है कि REC देश के बिजली क्षेत्र के विकास के लिए आगे भी पूरी उत्साह के साथ काम करती रहेगी। धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय मंत्री जी यहाँ उपस्थित होने के लिए और अपने विचारों से हमें अनुग्रहित करने के लिए। REC परिवार आपके प्रति अपना आभार प्रकट करता है। आप हमारी स्मृतियों में हमेशा विद्यमान रहेंगे। और अब बात करते हैं आज के इस कार्यक्रम के चीफ गेस्ट के बारे में। ऑनरेबल कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर सर, जम्मू से लेकर त्रिवेंद्रम, शिलोंग से लेकर वडोदरा तक पूरे भारतवर्ष में लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग के माध्यम से जुड़े हुए 22 स्टेट ऑफिसेज में मौजूद REC के एम्प्लॉइज, उनके परिवार के सदस्य, कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस में मौजूद सीनियर ऑफिशियल्स, विद्युत क्षेत्र के सारे आला अधिकारी और लगभग 500 से भी ज़्यादा लोग अभी लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग के माध्यम से आपको सुन पा रहे हैं। हम सभी आपके मार्गदर्शन की आतुरता के साथ प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हैं। ये मेरे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है कि आज के इस कार्यक्रम में मैं आपका स्वागत कर पा रहा हूं। देवियों और सज्जनों, आइए हम सभी मिलकर जोरदार तालियों के साथ आमंत्रित करते हैं भारत सरकार के माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी श्री RK सिंह जी का कि वो आज के दिन हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें, हमें अपना आशीर्वाद प्रदान करें। माननीय मंत्री जी।
Thank you. Thank you. आदरणीय कृष्णपाल जी, the Minister of State for Power. Alok Kumar ji, the Secretary of Power. Sanjay, the CMD of REC. Senior officers from the state government, senior officers from the Government of India. The CMDs of DISCOMs, officers from other power utilities, employees of the REC, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first congratulate the REC for its 52nd birthday. It has been a glorious journey, a journey of which you can be proud. When you think about the institutions which built India, which made India what it is, you can proudly say that REC was one of those institutions. I remember when the journey started and you started going to the rural areas, extending electricity to the villages. You can be proud that you are a pioneer for bringing light to the different villages, thousands of villages of India. And recently you completed that journey by connecting every village and every hamlet. And we completed that journey together well in time, much before the line given to us by the Prime Minister. You have played a stellar role in building India, in making India what it is. You have also played a stellar role in transforming the power sector. Where are we today in the power sector? In the past 5-7 years, we have transformed it. Our country was power deficit, we have made it power surplus. We now export power. We have connected the whole country into one grid, controlled by one central control center, running on one frequency. The whole country has now become one market. We have 2 power exchanges and power is available on a free and competitive basis. This has brought the power of price down for the people. The average cost in the exchange varies from 2 rupees to 3.5 rupees. That is it. This has brought about efficiencies. We've connected every village, we've connected every hamlet, we've connected every home. Now, all this you have done. All of you. The PFC, the REC, the power grid, all the state discoms, all of you have together, we have brought about this change in the power sector in the country. And we are proud of it. We have also emerged as a leader in energy transition. In the recent interactions with other ministers, we've stated proudly that we are a leader in climate action as well. The availability of power in rural areas has gone up to about 22 hours. That is the average from the feeders which we monitor. The availability of power in urban areas has gone up to about 23.5 hours. The availability of power in rural areas in 2015 used to be 12 hours. Now it is 22 hours. But we are not satisfied. We are not satisfied. We need to supply power for 24/7 to all the people of our country. We need to achieve that. And there is no reason why we can't achieve it. And there is no reason why we have not been able to achieve it. Under the Deen Dayal Gram Jyoti Yojana and the IPDS, we approved schemes worth 2,02,000 crores. We constructed or augmented the capacity of almost 7,000 substations. 2,700 new substations were constructed. 3,900 substations capacity was augmented. We changed ST lines and LT lines of about 7.5 lakh circuit kilometers. We gave money to the discoms for 6,65,000 transformers. And that is what made it possible to reach electricity to every village, to every home, and increase the number of hours for which power is available. But the challenge remains. The challenge is that remaining 2 hours of power supply in the rural areas and the remaining 1 hour of power supply in the urban areas. The challenge is the ability of the distribution companies to pay for the power which they buy or which they consume. The challenge is the viability of many of the distribution companies. These are challenges which we have to tackle if we want to prepare our power system for the coming century, if we want our power system to become modern. Because no system can become modern unless it is sustainable and viable. No system can become modern and remain modern unless and until it is sustainable and viable. What has been happening is that the government of India has been putting in money. Every 5 years or 10 years or so, we come out with a scheme for thousands of crores or lakhs of crores, under which we give money to the discoms, to the states, for strengthening their distribution system, for buying more transformers, for building more XT lines, for building more LT lines. And ultimately, because the distribution companies are making losses, they can't maintain them. So they reach a situation where they can't replace a transformer when it gets burned. and the people suffer. You see, one thing we must understand, we are not here for the DISCOMs, sorry. We are here for the people of India. That is the fundamental truth. And if you can't serve the people of India, then you have to reform yourself, because you are not doing your job. You are causing pain to the people. And also, we've decided that there is no question of putting money down a well, down a bottomless pit, which we will invest to improve, and thereafter which will run down again because it is making losses. That we have decided. So now we have, in order to further make sure and further help the distribution companies, we've sanctioned a scheme of 3,03,000 crores. So that you can replace any HT line which needs replacement. You can build more substations. Make your systems modern. We've sanctioned money for that. But now, we'll give money only to those distribution companies which are not making losses. Distribution companies which are making losses will have to work out a plan for reducing those losses. Get their state government's approval on that plan. File it with us, and then we'll finance them. And we'll help them in their journey to making themselves viable. We'll stand with them in their journey to making themselves viable. But they cannot become viable, they cannot until unless the state government stands by them, stands with them. Because unfortunately, one of the major reasons for the losses, two major reasons for the losses, are the state governments, aided and abetted by the regulator. I'm sorry to say. That's the reason for the losses. That's why your DISCOM is making a loss. There are only two ways to it. Either you decide that yes, we'll make our DISCOMs viable. We will be with you, we will finance you and help you become viable. Or you decide that, sorry, I don't want to become viable, then fine, you will have to find your own resources for modernizing your system. And ultimately, you will have to find your own resources for buying power. Because yesterday, day before yesterday, I had a meeting with all the central power generating companies under the Government of India. And I have given them one instruction. And that is that if the power is not paid for in 45 days, it will be disconnected. So your DISCOM has to collect the money for the power which it distributes, or the state government will have to fund it. The power will have to be paid for. Either the people will pay for it. You don't want the people to pay for it? Fine, very nice, very good. You want to give subsidy? You want to give free power? Go right ahead. Give free power to whomsoever you want. I mean, we don't mind, we are happy. But then in that case, the state government must pay for the power. There are only two ways. Somebody has to pay for the power. So either the consumer pays, or if the state government does not want the consumer to pay, the state government has to pay. Otherwise, you will not get any power. You will have to contend with blackouts. Now, that is a message which has to sink in. That is a message which has to sink in. We've also changed the prudential norms of the REC and the PFC. And we've made them, at par with what the banks have, the prudential norms of the banks. The banks don't lend money to any loss-making enterprise. So, REC and PFC will not lend any money to any loss-making DISCOM or any loss-making GENCO, or even a GENCO which actually is supplying power to a loss-making DISCOM. They will not be able to lend money to them. Until unless the DISCOM again and the state government decides that we are going to put in place steps to reduce the losses. Works out a program for that. Files it with us, supported by the state government. And then we'll finance the concerned DISCOM or the GENCO or whatever. So no finances from our lending institutions, no electricity from the central generating stations, and no money from our schemes until unless you decide that I want to become viable. It's a simple message. And once you decide that, yes, I want my DISCOM to become viable, we'll be with you. We'll give you the money. We'll handhold you. Now, this is not something new. This is not something new. This is the practice all over the world. When a country wants to borrow money from the World Bank, this is precisely what happens. The World Bank says that, fine, let us look at the reason why you have been driven to a situation where you need to borrow money from us, and let us address that, and we'll finance you. Now, that is what we are doing. That is why we have put these conditions. We are only following the international practice. Now, addressing losses is not rocket science. It's very simple. I've gone through the data of the distribution companies which are making losses. The primary reasons for the losses are just 2 or 3. That's it. One is the state government departments don't pay. The second is that the states announce subsidies and they don't give the money. A contributing reason to that is that the DISCOM is not professional enough to account for the subsidy due. So they don't make accounts of how much, how many units have been supplied to the subsidized category, and therefore how much subsidy has to be paid by the state government to them. They don't give the accounts to the state government. So it's not only the state governments, it's the DISCOMs which are at fault, which are not professional. If you are not professional, you will not survive. You have to account the number of units which are being supplied to the different categories of consumers, and therefore the subsidy which should be paid, and put that bill before the state government. Then the state government will pay. That is not happening. The third is billing efficiency, and the fourth is collection efficiency. You correct these things, your losses will disappear. Now, these are very simple things, very basic things. So you can very well correct it. And that is something which you must do. Otherwise, what will happen is that your people will suffer. You will not get electricity, you will have to do load shedding. Your people will suffer. We will help you. The REC, PFC, the Ministry of Power will help you. As I said, we have sanctioned a scheme of 3 lakh crores, 3,03,000 crores. And you will have the advantage of drawing up your modernization scheme by yourself, depending on your requirements, your needs. We want the system to be modern. We want the system to be digital. We want the system to be transparent. We want to do away with human intervention in metering, billing, and collection. That's why smart metering, smart prepaid metering. So that the human intervention goes, so that people can pay as per their convenience. If I have 100 rupees today, I recharge for 100 rupees. When it gets over, if I don't have money, the light goes off for 5 days. Again, I again have money, I recharge again. I don't get disconnected. The poor man will never get disconnected. Time of day tariff. We are adding solar, so the price of power during midday should come down for the people. So time of day tariff. Now these are we want systems which are smart, distribution management systems, which will automatically detect where the fault is and help us to correct that, which will automatically bypass the fault to make sure that there is no load shedding. And consumer rights. Now that is again something which is vital. We are here for the consumer, and the consumer has rights. So every DISCOM needs to understand that. You are there to serve the consumer. You are not there to lord over the consumer. If the consumer has a complaint, then the concerned junior engineer needs to answer. Or the concerned assistant engineer needs to answer. They can't sort of behave like the ruling officers, etc. They are there to serve the people. You are in a business which serves the people. Now these are the requirements. It's the job of the REC to help the distribution companies to come to that level, to modernize. So the REC has to modernize itself, as the Secretary Power said. I want you to become professional. as professional as can be. You must ultimately grow into an organization which can attract the best talent going. You have a great office, and you can, offer a great working space. You're also going to build great residential space, offer the best salaries, so that you attract the best minds from the best institutions, the IITs, IIMs, attract the best, and bring the cost of power down. The cost of finance down. Work out ways and means of bringing the cost of finances down. You have brought down your rates of interest, that's great. Bring it down further. There will be ways and means how we can bring it down. And we shall bring it down. So that the finance is available to the states and to the DISCOMs and to the GENCOs at very competitive rates, at highly competitive rates. REC has been doing very well. I mean, your growth, rate of growth has been almost about 13% year on year for the past 5 years. Your lending has been growing at 10% year on year for the past 5 years. Your profits are going up. They will go up further because this 3,000 crore scheme, again, you will have to finance the lower portion. We'll be giving 60%, and you will have to give a loan of 30% almost, you and the PFC. So again, you will have to raise funds so that you can help, can make the finance available to the states and to the DISCOMs, and raise funds at a lower cost, and work out ways and means of doing that. Now, the rates of interest have gone down. See as to how we can do this. But basically, we are at a stage where, we are very close. We are this close to making our system world class. This close. There are numerous DISCOMs which have come out of losses. The AT&C losses have come down. The ACS-ARR gap is coming down. It's only some states and some DISCOMs which are lagging behind. And those DISCOMs are lagging behind because of politics. Now, you can't do politics with electricity. Don't do that. Because if you do politics with electricity, what you will be doing is you will be harming the long-term interest of your people. And if you harm the long-term interest of your people, then you have no right to be in politics. People should be in politics for the welfare of the people. There are DISCOMs whose tariffs have not been revised for 5 years, 6 years. How will they survive? They will not survive. And they will not be able to supply power to the people. So the politicians who are doing this are actually harming the interest, the people's interest. Now that is a message which has to go bluntly. That irresponsible politicians cause harm. That is the message. And that is a message which must go bluntly. I'm sure that the message would have gone home. I'm sure that the people will realize it. But you can't follow irresponsible policies and expect us to support you. We shall not do so. Full stop. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
महसूस कर रहे हैं। सर, आपकी गरिमामयी उपस्थिति ने, आपके सारगर्भित विचारों ने आज के इस कार्यक्रम को और अधिक यादगार बना दिया है, अविस्मरणीय बना दिया है। आरईसी परिवार हमेशा आपका आभारी रहेगा। आपको अनेकों धन्यवाद। अब बारी है स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करने की। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं सीएमडी आरईसी श्री संजय मल्होत्रा जी से कि वो माननीय केंद्रीय मंत्री जी को स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट करें। मैं आग्रह करता हूं डायरेक्टर टेक्निकल आरईसी श्री संजीव कुमार गुप्ता जी से कि वो माननीय राज्य मंत्री जी को आरईसी का स्मृति चिन्ह भेंट स्वरूप प्रदान करें। मैं अनुरोध करता हूं डायरेक्टर फाइनेंस आरईसी श्री अजय चौधरी जी से कि वो आरईसी का स्मृति चिन्ह सेक्रेटरी पावर को प्रदान करें। ये स्मृति चिन्ह हमेशा आपको आरईसी की याद दिलाता रहेगा। माननीय बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं आमंत्रित करता हूं पुनः डायरेक्टर फाइनेंस आरईसी श्री अजय चौधरी सर को वोट ऑफ थैंक्स के लिए। डीएफ सर प्लीज।
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Today, on the occasion of REC's 52nd Raising Day and having the inauguration of REC's office building and report on key regulatory parameters of power utilities, it is my privilege to present the vote of thanks. First of all, our sincere thanks to Almighty for making today's event a success. By the blessings and grace of the Lord, we have been able to make the event what it was. My heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Cabinet Minister, Shri R.K. Singh Ji, who took time from his busy schedule and graced the occasion. Sir, you have always showered your love and blessings to REC and have guided our actions. Today, sir, once more we have the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and as always, they have enlightened our minds, showed us the direction, and reinforced our resolution to do better. I thank Honorable Minister of State for Power and Heavy Industries, Shri Krishan Pal Ji. It is a happy coincidence, sir, that you're joining the ministry and REC inaugurating its headquarters in your home state has happened almost simultaneously. I also thank you, sir, for your encouraging and inspiring words. My heartfelt thanks to respected Power Secretary, Shri Alok Kumar, sir, for his kind presence and constant mentorship. Thank you, sir, for your greetings and your thoughts. We shall definitely act as guiding light in all our endeavors. Today, sir, you have given us very worthwhile and important suggestions, which we shall definitely act upon. I extend my sincere thanks to all the senior officials of Ministry of Power for their guidance and support in helping us attain our goals and trusting us with the release of the report on the key regulatory parameters of power utilities. For the gracious presence, I thank ASNFA Shri Ashish Upadhyay Ji, AS Hydro and Distribution Shri SKG Rahate Ji, and OSD to Honorable Cabinet Minister Shri Ravindra Kumar Singh. I also am thankful to all officials of Ministry of Power who have taken time and joined us through video link. I thank all senior officers and friends in PFC for being a partner in our journey. I thank CMD PFC Shri R.S. Dhillon and Director Commercial and Projects PFC Shri P.K. Singh for their kind presence. I thank all senior officers of state government and utilities, state regulatory bodies, CPSUs, CEA, CERC, and other organizations for gracing the event. I thank Shri Sanjeev Kumar, CMD TCIL, for his gracious presence. I also thank staff and workers of vendor organizations who have worked tirelessly for making this event a success. Last but not the least, I would also like to express my gratitude to CMD and DT for their guidance and all the present and former employees for their untiring efforts who have been an inseparable part of REC's journey and a major contributor towards growth trajectory of the company. I am confident and assure all our stakeholders that with your cooperation and with the dedicated efforts of Team REC, we will grow from strength to strength, overcome new challenges, and reach new heights in the times ahead. Thank you all very much.
थैंक यू डीएफ सर। एक बार फिर से 52nd REC फाउंडेशन डे की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। आप सभी की उपस्थिति ने हमारा उत्साहवर्धन किया, हमें संबल प्रदान किया। आप सभी को बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और आप अब अपना मोबाइल फोन भी ऑन कर सकते हैं। टेक लोट्स ऑफ केयर, स्टे सेफ, नमस्कार। क्या सर?